Hello again, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about Red Dwarf, the Red Dwarf Omnibus, specifically, by Grant Naylor. Now, if you are a Red Dwarf fan, Red Dwarf was a sci-fi comedy over in England. I saw it when I was growing up on PBS, actually. And Grant Naylor is not actually the real name of the author. It's a pseudonym for Rob Grant and Doug Naylor, the two people who were co-creators and writers of the series. Anyway, Red Dwarf, the Red Dwarf Omnibus contains Red Dwarf, Infinity Welcomes Careful Drivers, and Better Than Life. It's kind of interesting. So, as I said, again, if you are familiar with the television show, when you read this, you're reading the episodes of the show. If you are unfamiliar with Red Dwarf, I suggest that, one, you read this book, and two, that you go watch the show. It's hilarious. It's kind of funny. When I first watched, I first watched the show on PBS, but then later I ended up checking out the show again from the library. And on the discs, there's commentary and whatnot. They actually got let's see, what was his name? Patrick Stewart. To comment on the DVDs. It was interesting. So apparently he was doing his thing after Star Trek, and Red Dwarf came on, and he saw it and thought, or maybe it was while he was still acting in Star Trek. I don't know the time frame, but he watched it come on, and he thought, oh no, we got a copyright violation here. And he was just about ready to call his lawyers when he realized there was no copyright infringement. It seems a bit stuck up, to be honest, but he actually enjoyed it. He thought it was incredibly funny. Anyway, let's get back to Red Dwarf. So, Red Dwarf is set in the future. Mankind has left Earth and has gone to the stars, and the main character, his name is Lister, David Lister. David Lister is from Earth, and what ends up happening is he ends up on a moon of Saturn, and apparently this is a result of a pub crawl on his birth, when he was celebrating his 24th birthday. He was celebrating so hard, got so drunk that somehow he got on a starship and left Earth and ended up on Saturn, where he's trying to earn money so he can get back to Earth. He ends up stealing taxis. It's really weird. He ends up stealing taxis and then driving people around, earning money, and then dumping the taxi, and then the next day stealing another taxi and doing the same thing. But he never ends up saving the money. He either gets mugged for it, or he loses it drinking, gambling, whatever. But he ends up enlisting in the Jupiter Mining Corporation aboard their ship, Red Dwarf. The Red Dwarf goes out. It's a mining ship. It gathers asteroids and other debris in space, mines them for their resources, and brings them back to Earth. So he thinks, what I'll do is I'll get on the ship, it'll take me back to Earth. When we get to Earth, I'll just go AWOL. Little does he know, when he gets on board the ship is going the other way, and it won't be going back to Earth for another 4 years. So he concocts this idea to get put in suspended animation. If he gets put in stasis, then he won't age, and basically he goes into suspended animation when he gets to Earth, they take him out of suspended animation, and it's as if it was instantaneous to him. He'll have no perception of what's going on beyond. He went in, and now he's back. So he goes in, and he concocts a plan. Now, this is a little bit different than the television show. In the television show, the plan is that he's going to save up enough money to, when he gets done working on Red Dwarf, he'll buy a farm back on Fiji and have cats and horses and all this other stuff, and open a donut shop, if I remember right. And to this end, he adopts a cat named Frankenstein and smuggles it on board Red Dwarf. In the book, what he does instead is he figures out that in order to get put into stasis, he needs to smuggle something on board. And so he smuggles Frankenstein on board and doesn't know that Frankenstein is pregnant. But he hides the cat on the ship and won't tell anybody where it is, first making sure that the cat will not pose any health risks to the crew. And because of that, he gets put into stasis. Now, what ends up happening is a radiation leak kills everyone on board the ship, minus Lister, who was in stasis, and his cat, Frankenstein. When he gets out, the computer informs him that it is now 3 million years in the future, and he is 3 million light years away from Earth, and possibly the last human being in existence. And that is when, that's really when everything gets started. Now, one thing, like as I said before, this is a comedy. This is funny. The thing is that Lister is not the paragon of human, qualities, if you will. He's definitely a slob from Earth. Definitely not the kind of guy that you would see in, say, Star Trek, which is one of the reasons why Patrick Stewart realized that this was not a Star Trek ripoff in any way, shape, or form. Lister is the dregs of human society in many ways. Anyway, at that point in time when the computer releases him from stasis, the background radiation level is such that it's now harmless. But as I said, 3 million years have passed since he was put into stasis, and so you have the fact that no one else on the ship is around, and so in order to keep Lister sane, he resurrects one of the crew members as a hologram. Now, this crew member is Arnold Rimmer. Arnold Rimmer, again, he was his bunkmate, his immediate superior on the ship, and neurotic to the bone. He wants to become an admiral and to be in charge of fleets, and he wants to be at the top of the totem pole, but his insecurities and his neuroses constantly undermine him, and he has no he constantly sabotages himself in many different ways, and they also come to find out that the cat, Frankenstein, had offspring, and these offspring lived on Red Dwarf, and they thrived and became a community and evolved into to basically, they call them in the show Felis sapiens. They're basically humanoid cats. And the cat is one of Lister's new crewmates aboard the Red Dwarf. The final crewmate becomes Crichton. Crichton is a service droid. He is trying to remember exactly how they describe him and things, but basically he's like a walking vacuum cleaner. He's there to cook, clean, and et cetera, for humans. That's his mission, his goal, his purpose for being, and that's what he does. So there's ends up being the crew of the Red Dwarf, and you can see how this ends up being such a funny dynamic. You have Lister, who's a slob, who's relaxed, who's just kind of has a laissez-faire attitude about life and things, and then Rimmer, who is so uptight, so by the book, but yet so insecure in himself that he constantly is undermined by his own self. And then you've got Cat. Cat is described as the best dressed being in the 6 universes. He is the physical embodiment of a cat and what we think of as cat-like, but he's a human. So he's constantly preening. He's constantly the center of his own attention, and nobody else around him even matters. But he still likes to be around other people at the same time. And then you have Crichton, who is the mechanoid, and has this huge guilt complex about everything, and is trying to strive to make life better for everyone, despite his own ineptitude. Great stuff. 2 books here. You get the original and Better Than Life. And again, if you've seen the Red Dwarf show, you've seen a lot of what goes on in the episodes. They're in the book. And some of the episodes are expanded, and they actually take different detours than you saw in the series. Some of it probably they couldn't write it actually into the show because it would have been, 1, difficult, and 2, very, very expensive. I'm thinking about the giant cockroaches and things. But anyway, good stuff. Highly enjoyable. And if you're a fan of Red Dwarf, you need to read this. If you're not a fan of Red Dwarf, you should. That might be because you haven't ever seen it. If you have seen it and you're not a fan, I don't know what to do for you. Anyway, like, subscribe, share, all that other stuff. And until next time, enjoy what you're reading.